Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining the Fintegrated podcast. Today, I have a good friend of mine, Wade, who is going to be joining us with his expertise coming out of school and just being in the real world here as far as like getting in those corporate jobs. But he is a grad out of Taylor University and he's working in outside sales at ADP, the payroll company. And it's going to be, I think we're going to have a lot of fun discussions just about that. But just looking at it from how do you see your business as a mission and being able to drive your faith inside everything that you do. So I'm really excited to have you on here and talk about all those things. So thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, thanks for I'm excited too. I love doing stuff like this, and
Yes.
when you reached out, I was really excited too.
Awesome. Well, I think give everybody a little bit of a rundown of kind of where you are currently.
Yep. So I'm right now living in Indianapolis. Like you said, I just graduated from Taylor University in May. So actually, this next week is 6 months on my job at ADP, and it's my first like big boy job, I guess you could
Yep.
say. Out of college. I've had other jobs, but I guess this is like the first real like resume job, you could say. So yeah, I was super involved in my university, was in student government, and then kind of been involved wherever I'm at, and now I'm here building a career at ADP right now.
That's awesome. What did you study in undergrad, and did that have anything to do with where you are working today?
Yep. So I was a double major, double minor. I did management and marketing, and then Spanish and entrepreneurship. And honestly, the thing I've used the most in my job is been the Spanish. It was surprisingly enough. I'm very
Wow.
crude in Spanish. I can't do business Spanish, but like building relational Spanish has been actually really helpful. I have some. So my role at ADP is I work with accountants and different business consultants and small businesses, and a lot of them speak Spanish. So that's been good to like introduce myself. But to answer your question, class wise, college didn't help a ton, but the
No.
people skills and like I think deadlines help. Like turn like papers, big
Mhm.
papers, kind of a not learning how to not procrastinate. I think can help
Oh
even though
yeah, those things of we have a paper due at 5 p.m. You're like, well, it's 3:45.
I have 10 pages left. How am I going to
Yeah.
get this? So I think things like that helped. And then just I was always I loved reaching out and getting mentors in college, and I think that has actually helped in this role too. Like not being afraid to reach out to like people a lot higher up than me in ADP,
Yeah.
since and they know a lot more than me. So that's kind of how I feel like I've used college so far.
Mhm. Yeah, I would agree. Just looking back on even what my experience was, a long, long time ago, I feel that I learned so much to your point of like those soft skills. You're knowing how to talk to people and build good relationships. And then the part with mentors, they didn't really push that too much in the college I went to, but later on, I realized how important that was. That's how you learn, or at least I have learned so much that way, and it's been a blast just to know, hey, what did people do? What should I avoid? What should I do? And listening to their experiences.
Yep, I've learned way more from older people in my life than any book or class I've ever been
Oh
in,
yeah,
which has been, I'm grateful for that.
it's those real life experiences that can easily tell the story of something a book can't.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's tangible too.
Exactly. That's the best part. Because I took an entrepreneurship class and they're like, hey, dream, what do you want to build? I'm like, I don't know. And then you start talking to people and, hey, have you thought about it from this and this and this? I'm like, never even crossed my mind that's
Yep.
something I could think about.
Yep.
So it's kind of cool. So I would say, what has been something as now you're stepping into this career role that if
Mhm.
you could go back and tell yourself, maybe when you started freshman year of college, what do you wish you knew now that you didn't know then?
That's a really good question. Um, there's not much that I would do different that I think, but
Mhm.
one thing that I would probably lean more into is trying to figure out what I want out of a career and like what spaces I enjoy. Because I feel like, especially with this first job, I've found so many aspects of it that I really love, and some that I find really difficult.
Mm.
And that's every job you're
It
going to be
is,
in.
yeah.
So, kind of learning freshman year, I think trying to figure out at least internships throughout the summer, or doing like, I was really thankful. One of my classes at Taylor, they have us interview 3 working professionals in different careers and talk about their
Nice.
careers. And looking back on that, I think I would have rather interviewed or did different internships in other spaces to try to figure out what I like and what I don't like. But I'm
Hmm.
glad I've ended up where I am, because it's been really great so far. But I think that would have been helpful freshman year. So that would be my
Yeah.
bit of advice, is to reach out to people in a career you think you might like, because you might not at all.
Yeah. And I think coming from the accounting side of things, when I was in school, they kind of taught, hey, there's 2 routes for you if you want to be an accountant. It's taxes or audit. And
Hmm.
that's the only thing out there. And I wish I would have known, hey, you learn accounting and there's so many directions you can go. You just have to have an open mind.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's a lot. I've and I'm still super young, but I'm learning there's a lot more jobs out there than what people think. It's you can
Yeah.
And yeah, you just kind of have to like be bold enough to ask or chase it a little bit. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what I would have liked to figure out a little more freshman year. Like, what do people really do for work, and what do they enjoy and not like, and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it is really interesting to know what else is out there with a skill set that
Hmm.
I think it's so easy to get put into a box of, well, if you know this skill, then this is what you're going to do the rest of your life. You're like,
Yep.
oh, actually not. I'm going to take this and you can go here, here, everywhere and build something that's in alignment with your skill sets. And I think this kind of goes into the next part of it, is just the calling that you have on your life. And I
Mm.
know, like you, have a very strong faith, and that's so important of when it comes to knowing, where do we show up in the marketplace, how do
Mhm.
we um, utilize our skill sets for a greater cause. And I know you have something where you're very passionate about, like, business as a mission, and I'd be curious to know if you can share more what that means to you.
Yeah, that's I love talking about this. So super briefly, my mentor that I got mentor, it's like not ever been deemed a mentor, but the person who I respect
Yeah.
a lot, when I first got to college, he was my freshman year professor. I'm still in touch with him now. Um, I came into college as a what's business degree, or studying business,
Mm-hmm.
but I'd always grown up, I thought I'd want to be a pastor too, because I
Nice.
have like kind of a pastor's heart, and I've preached at my home church and quite a bit of places too. And I was telling my mentor now, his name is Professor Bates, and he told me about this thing called business as mission, which is basically reaching 4 different levels of people, like through business, where you get to reach them economically, um, socially, spiritually, and physically, because you're with them all the time. And I didn't even know business as mission was a thing. I knew there were regular missionaries. I knew
Yep.
there were preachers stateside. And I was like, what is this business as mission thing? And it kind of taught me that there needs to be Christian professionals in every stage of business. So like right now I'm in sales, and I kind of see it as like I interact with dozens of people every single day. So it's like, how can I treat them how Christ would treat them in a workplace? And I think, to me, it all boils down to like treating others like Christ. And then in the business aspect, it's like providing a mutually beneficial exchange is the
Mm-hmm.
concept that I've been taught, and that I really enjoy, because it's like business, you don't want to force somebody to do something that doesn't benefit them. And obviously, you're not selfishly, you're never going to do something that doesn't really benefit you in some way either. But I don't know. I hope that answers your
Yeah, no,
questions.
that totally makes sense. And I think it kind of goes back to the thing of, sometimes there's so much short-sightedness on what missions is.
Yes.
We think of it as, oh, you're overseas, you're bringing people that have never heard the name of Jesus to acknowledging who he is and changing their lives in that respect. But there's so much in the business world. There was actually a book my professor made me read. I think it was called Business 9 to 5. And it talked about some of that of bringing just your faith into what you do and looking
Mhm.
at it from a different perspective. And there was also another one, I think it was called, I'd have to remember it. I can remember the cover of the book. It was something like business anointing or something like that, because we've all have certain skills that work in various
Mhm.
marketplaces. And it's like, how are you going to use them? And there was a conference I went to last year, and the guy led it. It's one of those, he reminds me of you in a lot of ways, because he has so much knowledge as if he was a pastor, even though he's always been in missions or, business world type stuff and leading conferences, growing companies, etc. But his whole thing was, when you're a business owner, if you are called by God to grow, you grow. Don't be selfish with just yourself because you got the paycheck you wanted, but how can you grow that so now you have other people in your organization that you're now helping them grow financially?
Yep. I think that's awesome. And I've heard, since I've been in this space for about 4 or 5 years now, as you have gone to some conferences and heard and had spoken to a lot of people about it, and I've just heard so many stories of like, one thing that's really big for me is I know like I can't do everything myself, and I think that's really special for especially Christians who have their faith in business, is like, we're not doing it by ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're not walking it alone. Like, just like simple as like praying before a meeting or things like that is, I think, really important, because not only it adds like another layer of confidence in business too, because it's like, okay, this isn't like fully me. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that's been really important to realize too through speaking to other people, is like, okay, it's, we get to walk in this together with other people and with Jesus is just walking with us. It's cool.
Yeah, it is. There was a conference I went to. This is a long time ago, but I remember this guy sharing how he would pray over his desk every day and all the checks that came in and the checks that went out. And it was one of those things, like in a younger mindset of not quite understanding why he would do that. And then
Hmm.
as I got older and I started getting my business up and going, I'm like, I see why he's doing that. It's like, even though I'm paying vendors money, like I hope that for some reason this gives them exactly what they need, or maybe it's extra, or whatever the story is that goes along with it, is just something that's really cool.
Yeah, that is really cool.
Yeah.
I like that idea a lot.
You can use it for your
I'm gonna
your
use
next sermon that you put together.
it. Yeah, that'll be good.
It'd be awesome. But I think something that's been really interesting, and you may not have seen it as much yet, but as you start your career of being in a world that is kind of different when it comes down to morals and values. And I
Hmm.
think that I've seen this a lot when I worked in corporate for a short amount of time. I did not belong in that world at all. I'm too much the, hey, I want to go a totally different direction than what corporate likes me to function by. And so it was a short 3-year career.
Hmm.
That was just it got to be just hilarious how many times I was in management's office. I felt like I was in school. They're like, we
Get his
don't like the
attention
shoes that
in
you
the
wore
front
today. And I'm
office.
like, I really don't care. Like, I'm just talking to people on the phone. We never interface with folks. Or it would just be, hey, we need you to come in after hours for a meeting. I'm like, it could be an email. I have better use of my time. So
Yep.
it was one of those, I learned very quickly, hey, I don't belong in this. But regardless of that, of always keeping my values very high in a
Hmm.
workplace, because people are looking at me. And so I don't want to be, I hold myself at a much higher level than anybody else will, because I answer to God. I'm not answering to
Hmm.
my manager. I'm not answering to anything else. And I've turned down projects in the past because it doesn't align with who I am, where I want to go, and what my business stands for.
Wow, that's awesome. That's good
Yeah.
to hear.
It's it's crazy these days, more so than it's ever been in the past, but I think it's something that, people have to continually stand firm in who
Hmm.
they are and what they want and desire.
Yeah, I think that's a definitely a big thing in the corporate world, and I think, coming from a private Christian college, I grew up in public high school and everything. So I
Same.
think there's a lot of people that, well, I have a lot of homeschooled friends. So I'm not saying anything bad about homeschool. A lot of people who maybe didn't interact with, maybe not non-Christians or
Mhm.
people not of the faith as much. I think it can be a shock. But what I've found out is I love all the people I work with. They
Yeah.
are fantastic people, amazing people. We might believe different things or have
Mhm.
different hobbies, but I just think it's been amazing to like my personal team that I'm on. They've been amazing and so helpful. And I do think you do need to stand firm in what you believe in. Like there's no, I think it's important not to obviously belittle what other people do or like
Mhm.
what they do on their weekends or things, not to like make you feel better than yours.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
No
And
judgment is passed.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then I think I think that was really good for me is like, um, other phases of life, but still staying firm to what I believe in and not being afraid to share what I'm doing for my weekends or things like that. And I
Mhm.
think just building genuine relationships has been really good and a lot easier than expected. I will say it is harder to stay out of office place gossip
Yeah.
um, in a corporate setting. So I think that's something to be aware of, and that's something that's everywhere. I
It's
believe
everywhere
it's
you go.
even in churches. There's
Yes.
more than what people think, but so yeah, I think that's kind of a main thing is like don't expect people to act a certain way if that's not how they're living their life right now. And I think that was really good for me. And I've enjoyed and loved working with all my people so far.
Yeah. No, I think that's very important because that's where I've had some of the best conversations too. And
Mhm.
we're like, wait a second, you're not going to go do this? No, I'm good. Well, why? And, and then it just opens up. And some of my closest friends have been, non believers at different times
Mhm.
in my life. And we've just had such great conversation that we both learn from each other of, hey,
Yeah.
you're going this way, I'm going this way. So yeah, and I think the work setting is a lot of fun in that respect because you get different teams to be a part of. You get to meet all kinds of people.
Yeah. I think kind of like the biggest is the silly golden rule, but I think the biggest thing is just treating everybody the same way.
Yep.
And I think we can overcomplicate that a lot, but especially in like the business world, like how I treat my coworkers is how I should treat the clients that I work with on a
Mhm.
daily basis and things like that. So
Yep.
I think that's kind of a big thing I'm learning is like the consistency is
Hmm.
really important and everybody also notices the consistency if you're different around other people.
Yes. And I think, yeah, that was something I learned when I started my business too, is wanting to create such a great experience for all of the clients to have as
Mhm.
if they're part of the business as well, so they kind of get the same treatment as anybody that works for me would. And
Yeah.
it's made it a lot of fun, and a handful of clients have become good friends over the years because of that.
Yep. That's awesome.
Yeah, so I think it's pretty cool. I do really enjoy it. So I'd say for you, what has been, as you're starting this role in payroll and all of the
Mhm.
nuances that come to that, you work with a variety of different accountants, probably ones that have small firms, some have large firms.
Mhm.
What have, I guess, what has been one of the highlights of your time thus far working for ADP?
Yeah. I'd say first, definitely, I'm very impressed and I like my team that I work with a lot and my manager. I'm glad I have a great manager who supports and helps with all the problems that we run into. And you can imagine with payroll things, there are a lot
Oh
of
my gosh,
issues
yes.
that people run into. And I think one thing that I did not know when I first got the job is the weight of what we're selling kind of because it is sales but like it's people's money and how they're paying their employees and um, I think there was one process where it got really delayed and the person couldn't pay their employees on time so we had to work out getting manual checks and I think just working through that process with the client and it wasn't delayed on ADP's fault it wasn't the
Mhm.
client's fault so it was just a whole mess but I think it was a low moment, but it was a really high moment because I got to like learn and walk through with the client. And like you said, now I'm really great friends with the client. I go to
Yep.
their coffee shop all the time and hang out. And, but it's like, it was a good learning experience for me because it's like not everything is going to go right. And you just need to have patience and deal with
Hmm.
it.
You
But
do.
then another highlight that I really like is I get to work with accountants. So it's not like a one time transactional sale because that's, I don't like that type of selling because
Yeah,
that
me
feels very
either.
transaction. It's like buy this, okay, buy that. I don't like that. So when I get to work with accountants, I really enjoy that to build like an actual relationship and trust. And I love bringing by gifts and snacks for them
Hmm.
and celebrate wins when they get new clients, and they do the same for me. So that's been my biggest highlight.
That is cool. And I think something that showcases ADP in a really good way, and that is they're a very large company, but yet for you, you get to experience as if it's a small company
Yes.
because you get those relationships.
Yep. I think that is, and I'm definitely a small business guy working in
Mhm.
a very, very big business. So I like that you put that well. It definitely feels like a small business because I kind of feel in some way I get to run my own business a
Mhm.
little bit just because like I'm the go-to person for a bunch of different firms around the Indiana area.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, and it's a fun part when you get to go to their offices, see how they do things, and why did you get? I don't know. I love the story of how everybody got started with
Yep.
the business that they have because there's always a good why.
Yep. There and that's yeah. I was like you just put it very well. That's like one of my favorite things is like when we're going through the process of
Mhm.
like getting all of the information and everything, I just get to ask them like what made them want to start a business, like why did they buy the business, and then I get to learn too. And that's
Yeah.
I think staying curious is helpful.
Mm-hmm. It does. And I think that makes you grow as a person too. It's like always have that curious mindset to know, well, why you kind it's like sounding like like a 5-year-old. Well, why? Why this? Why that? Why this? And how much you learn by asking why.
Yep.
Yeah, it's hilarious. I do that a lot with some of my clients and they're like, okay, I feel like Simon Sinek and start with why. Let's
Yep.
go with that first as we get going.
Leaders eat last.
Yes. It's hilarious. So I got a couple of quick rapid fire questions
Okay.
for you. Let's see. The first one is, what is something most people misunderstand about sales?
That's a good question. Not all salespeople are what you think salespeople are like. I
Hmm.
think that's the biggest thing. Now there are a lot of salespeople who are like salespeople you think, but not all of them are, and I think that's a um, big thing. And can I add a second one?
Absolutely.
Nobody likes cold calling. If
Yeah.
people like cold calling, they're lying to you. Not a single person I know likes cold calling. Um, it's just a nature of sales jobs that have to be done.
Yeah. You may get desensitized to it some, probably the
Yes.
more you get,
Yep.
but it's still, you're like, no, I'm good.
Yep. And that's why I'm thankful I'm not stuck behind a desk cold calling because if I was in that type of sales role, I would already be gone. I like being face to face with people and talking in businesses. So I think that's, at least in my experience, I've not met anybody who enjoys cold calling.
Yeah. Yeah, I personally don't at all. But what's funny is if you go to networking events, essentially you walk up to strangers all the time, which is like cold
Yep.
calling, but it's so much easier.
Yes, it is because I think that those people are expecting like people to
Hmm.
network with you, where it's like I've had to make plenty of cold calls in this role, and like you'll catch people like taking care of their kids, and I'm like,
Hmm.
please don't answer the phone if you're taking care of your kids. Like it's not that important.
Yeah, like oh, you call me back at a time that's better.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I think those would be my answers to that.
nice. What is something you're learning right now that's kind of been a surprise that you didn't think it would pop up?
Ooh. I think something that I didn't think would affect my job as much is like the tax legislation. And this is like
Oh
going
yeah.
super in depth, but like with the new overtime
Mhm.
tracking and tip tracking, what's qualified, what's non-qualified, I'm like a person getting a lot of questions from that. So like I'm having to go on like the IRS site and try to figure it all out because obviously people would come to the payroll person to ask me that.
Yeah.
So I think that's an unexpected thing because yeah, I didn't expect to have to be researching tax legislation when
Yeah.
I took that sales role.
You're like, who knew that you would have to be reading code all the time,
Yep.
and things change so much too.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why I think, especially like for my own clients and stuff, and very thankful for payroll software so I don't have to stay up to date. Like, it's those things accountants know enough to be dangerous, but it's really the HR side of things that is keeping up to date with everything people and payroll.
Yep. I'm sure you have to deal with a lot more of the tax issues and stuff than I do.
Yes. Thankfully, I have some really good CPAs I partner with, and that's
Hmm.
their job. I just help them get to the point where it's really good for them to then start their job of filing taxes and doing anything extra for the client.
Yep, that's
So
nice.
yeah. Otherwise, that was my thing. I didn't want to read tax code for the rest of my life. I was like, I'm good with knowing a few things. I don't want to memorize it.
Yep, I'm the same way.
Yeah. So going in real quick, those are my rapid fire questions for you. Just talking through briefly ADP, what you guys have to offer,
Hmm.
what you've seen that works really, really well for small businesses, kind of just starting out with maybe, two to sometimes even as little as one employee to just maybe
Hmm.
to like 5 or 10.
Yeah, I think. When are you talking about, like what's nice specifically with ADP or
Yeah, and
payroll?
like what you can offer, because you know how sometimes, and this is not to put down QuickBooks. QuickBooks, you already know what I think of you. You're a great solution for a lot of things, some things not as much. But I think where I've seen ADP work well for my clients is that you have somebody they can talk to, they can
Yep.
ask questions and things like that. And for small business owners that are still learning, hey, how does all of this work? I think you have some really good support that you can give. But then
Yep.
also, if they were to come in and understand that, hey, we need a little bit more white glove type work compared to what a QuickBooks can offer. Um, so I would think if you could speak to that, of just kind of when a small business owner comes to you and is like, hey, I just hired my first employee, what do I do?
Yep. I just was doing this earlier today. So I think the most important thing that differentiates ADP from other payroll providers or services that you might get, like you said, is the people component. So,
Mm-hmm.
like for the clients I work with, the biggest differentiator is me, because I'm the one. While I might not be able to do all the service aspects of going into your account and editing everything for you, I know the people who can, and I'll get them on the line for us and get it done. It's kind of, we call it like quarterbacking. Like we're the one
Mm-hmm.
who pass the ball to everybody and get that done. So what happened today was I had a client just hired their first employee, and we walked them through everything. We got all their information set up, and this is typically what for other providers you'd have to do on your own. But I
Yeah.
was I was sitting at their desk with them, typing it all in, and then we ended up going through, and I every single client we work with, we're on the first and second payroll input. So we make sure everything's correct. We double, triple check. And then if they have any questions throughout their entire time on ADP, they know to call me. And I think that's what's really special, is because like I've got all my clients' phone numbers saved, and
Yeah.
they can always text me or call me if anything comes up. And then I think the second thing that's really nice is the service that you get other than me. We have a really good back office service team that I am able to get in contact with and get all the accounts edited. And then the last thing I'll say, this is my job, so I could talk about this for a little
Right.
bit. I didn't realize how custom the software was for small employees too.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you can do all the tip tracking and overtime tracking, so CPAs or the business owner doesn't have to qualify it for the new big beautiful bill
Yep.
legislation that keeps changing. And then you can edit pretty much anything that you need, whether it's like the PTO, retirement deductions, health and benefits, workers comp, all of that can be integrated in your payroll, so it's all one button,
Yeah.
which was pretty cool to me. So getting all that set up is really nice. Then yeah, I think those are the three key things. I'm probably missing some stuff, but
No, I think those are huge, because that's a lot of times small business owner, they don't want to have to hop around. I got to click here, here, and here. It's where can I go, spend my time, get done what I need to get done,
yep,
and then move on to the next task.
yep. And I think the big like people can get caught up on such a easy or such an easy problem, but they don't know the
Mm-hmm.
solution. So that's why I think like having someone you don't have to sit on hold with for 30 minutes to then
Yes.
try to call. So like I had a client the other day call me and ask how they were going to pay me. And I was like, no, you don't pay me. All you pay ADP and that's already all taken care of. So just little things like that where they
Mm-hmm.
don't have to sit on hold. They can just talk to a real person that they know
Yeah.
is that they know who they are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you've built that relationship, you know what they have. And I think what's cool too is as payroll and different jurisdictions, all of these things
Mhm.
change all the time. And it's nice for a small business owner to say, hey, we're moving our headquarters to this city. Do I have to do anything? Because you know how those occupational
Yeah.
taxes love to come up.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. And it's like, okay, yes, this does and this location does. But if this employee doesn't work at that location, they work at this one, they don't have to pay it. And
Yep. And
yeah,
then the county taxes on
uh-huh,
top of
all of those.
it's crazy.
It
So luckily
really is.
it's all pretty easy to set up.
Yeah. And one thing I do like is your reports. You guys have really good reports
Mhm.
that are easy to pull. You can, pull it up and your login employees can look at their own portal. They can update all their information and
Mhm.
you don't really have to have those hard copies everywhere you go anymore.
Yep. And it's just nice the employees can see all their W-2s and pay stub in their app and everything. That's
Hmm.
really nice. That's helpful for us as ADP employees too, is to
Yeah.
see all that.
Yeah, because how many times I remember in the past you get an employee they're like, I can't log in, or the software didn't have a portal at the time. It wasn't an offering on like older solutions.
Hmm.
And they would call up and it's like, yeah, I need a copy of my pay stub. Okay.
Yep.
Can I come by the office? I'm like, oh, we're printing one. Okay, yes. Let's
Yep.
get that for you. So yeah, I think that's super helpful.
Yeah, I've learned a lot. And what's nice is I don't have to know all the answers because
Yep.
I can just tell my client, I'll find out. And
Hmm.
that's what's really nice.
That is. And I think too that you have where the small businesses grow, you have those additional HR type services now
Yep.
that you offer with employee handbooks and policy procedure type things.
Hmm. Yep. It's really nice. So I work in the 1 to 50 employee range, and I've seen all sorts of where it's just basic payroll where we set up to where they need something like a full on HR specialist to walk
Mhm.
them through everything because they're 25 employees and the owner's still doing it all themselves.
Yep.
So it's really cool. We're able to match the package to what the company needs.
Nice. Yeah, that helps a lot. And
Yeah.
like I said, because I've seen other ones and they need an employee handbook these days. It's you have to have your policies clearly
Yep.
written and whatnot. And QuickBooks can't do that for you.
Mhm.
Gusto can't do that for you. And so if you need those things, then you got to go out and find an HR consultant to write
Yep.
write it up for you.
And then that's an extra $3,000 or
Yes.
something like that.
Yep. That's the magic number I feel like for everything. This is yep, $3,000 we got you.
Yeah, I I don't understand it, but I guess it takes a lot to write a few words.
Yeah. And all those little things like your vacation policies and things like that,
Yeah,
those get very complex too, I know. And something that your system can handle on that is you hit certain thresholds and now you can get more vacation, and
yep,
what does that look like? Yeah.
yeah. That's what's it. We do all the tracking for like new hires if they when they get eligible for retirement deductions or when
Hmm.
they get eligible for PTO, and that's all set up before you even run payroll. So it's really
Yeah.
nice.
And I think you guys had it with people when they're doing their 401ks also, that then they can kind of link up what that deduction is going to be out of
Yep.
there, and then it goes over to the third party.
Yep. And the with that, if they do the 401k through us, then the employees can actually edit their own
Oh,
deductions in their
nice.
site. So they don't even have to bug the owner to change the deductions or anything like that. It's set up real nice and easy.
Oh yeah, one less thing the owner has to do now, like, hey, put this in and nobody's coming to your desk.
Yep.
That's awesome. Well, cool. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. This was fun just to know a little bit more about you and payroll and just
Mhm.
how you're bringing faith into what you're doing. So I really appreciate it.
Yeah, well, thanks for. I'm glad we got connected on LinkedIn
Yeah,
a few months back. It's been
right?
fun.
It is. And so if people have questions about ADP, where is the best way to get in contact with you?
Best way would either be phone number or email. So my email is wade.francis@adp.com. And then my phone number would be 812-617-2140.
Awesome. Well, thank you
Or you
again.
can message Christy and
And I'll pass you
she'll
along.
pass it along.
Be great. Well, thanks again for your time. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks, Christy.